Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So I have a horrific, yes, I'm going to be dramatic here, a horrific market update, especially if you are a seller this month. So we're going to look at August numbers. These are the unofficial numbers for August. These are the numbers that have been reported so far. There could be a few more sales that trickle in, but usually these numbers don't waver too much by the time the official ones come out. So looking at last August, our average price was $1.292 million. This month, drum roll please, our average price is $988,668. Our average price has dropped over 23% since last year, and since July, it has dropped 19.5%. In July, you might remember our average price was over 1.2. It really surprised me, but we did see a lot of high ticket properties selling. So 1.219 million was our average in July. August is down over 19%, so $988,000. When we look at July, I mean, you know, year to year, it's a good gauge on where prices are going, but like, it's really interesting to see like the market we're in and how it has changed month to month. So in July, 60% of the properties that sold were over $1 million. We had like a random month of really high price stuff selling. In August, only 38% of the properties that sold were over $1 million. So you can see how that would pull the price up in July and bring the price down in August. And in August, we actually had 7 properties that transacted under $650,000. So our pricing is coming down here, and it is definitely more than I thought it was going to be. I thought our average price might come in somewhere between like $1,050,000 and 1.1 this month, but 988 is really bad. We have only had 2 other months in the last 2 years where our average price has been under $1 million. So this is not a good sign. Hopefully we can only go up from here, but right now, really bad news for our sellers and for where the market could be going this fall. That's a huge drop. If we stop seeing the sales in our higher ticket properties like that, especially $1 million to $1.5 million, but if we don't see any of the higher ticket stuff selling, it really is going to negatively impact our pricing. So here we are under $1 million for the month of August. Wah wah. So now let's look at what happened this week in our market. So another bad week in sales. Georgetown only had 4 sales. That is our second week of only having 4 sales. So to only have 4 sales is a really bad indicator. I am just hoping that we can chalk this up to the last 2 weeks of summer, and come September and hopefully an interest rate drop announcement tomorrow morning, we will start to see things pick up. But this is what we're at. The good news is that we only had 9 new listings. I mean, it's our first week in a very long time where we've only had single-digit new listings. But again, I think this is correlated to the fact that we are in the last week of summer. So hopefully this is not the trend, but we are going to be watching this closely. Acton this week had 4 sales, like a massive week for Acton, and they had no new listings. So good news for Acton in terms of inventory, and I'll talk more about that too. Glen Williams and Limehouse had no sales, no new listings. The rural market saw no sales, and it had 2 new listings. So now looking at the properties that have terminated, relisted, all of that. We had 19 properties that did some adjustments this week. Breaking down the 19, 2 of them relisted at the same price, whatever. 6 of them reduced their price, but this is the number that helped our inventory this week. We had 11 properties completely come off of the market. So we need to see more weeks of properties coming off the market that don't need to be there, because rolling into our active inventory now, we are down to 206 active listings in Halton Hills from 214. So we have not been near that 200 mark in a very long time. So 11 properties coming off the market was really good news for sellers this week, because it really brought inventory down. So we're at 206 active listings in Halton Hills. It's still outrageously high, like 200 plus is way too many, but it's going in the direction that we want it to go in. Looking at Georgetown this week, just up slightly to 126 active listings from 125. Again, we had the gap in sales to new listings, but with properties coming off the market, it keeps things, you know, kind of at bay. Looking at our active price points, under 800,000 is sitting very high at 14 active listings, up from 13. That is a lot of properties available under 800,000, mostly condo, townhomes, condo apartments, but That's an interesting price point to be saturated at this point in the market. 800 to $1 million this week is up from 30 to 31. Just can't get any relief. We have so many properties available in that pocket. We never sit this high with inventory. That price point is always our price point that moves. We are in a situation here, folks, when this price point is not moving. So I don't know what the fall market is going to be like. 1 to 1.5 million remain the same at 53 active listings this week. Again, insanely high, just really, really high. And 1.5 million plus felt some relief from 29 down to 28 active listings. Nothing is moving in that price point. And I mean, the average price and the stats I gave about the million plus properties show that. If you have a 1.5 million plus house, I think I said this last week, but like if you have a buyer who's remotely interested in your property, like entertain that. It is very difficult to find someone with a budget over $1.5 million right now. So just a little tidbit there. Now looking at Acton, huge week for Acton because they had terminations and sales. They went from 30 down to 21 active listings. That is the lowest inventory we have seen in Acton. Like, let me just like go through my book here since the start of April. So like it has been a long time since Acton has seen around 20 active listings. We're there though, and if Acton gets below 15 is when the market starts to get busy, I find there. So 21 still has a ways to go, but a really interesting week, high sales in Acton. But that has to do with the fact that there's a lot of lower price stuff available in Acton, and people, you know, their budgets are still relatively low with where interest rates are. So looking at Glen Williams, stayed the same at 7. Limehouse stayed the same at 7. Limehouse is insanely high at 7. Glen Williams is sort of normal at 7. And the rural market remained the same at 45, which is insanely high. So realistically, Georgetown and the rural market are the ones that are feeling the pinch the most. They are really saturated in comparison to where they normally sit, and things just, especially in the rural market, are not moving. I'm, again, really hopeful that because of the last 2 weeks of summer, the updates I've given, it's because of that. It's because of the last 2 weeks of summer. But we're gonna see how September goes. I really hope that that interest rate drop announcement comes tomorrow. I mean, it should. And if it comes tomorrow, I'm hoping that it can fuel some fire into our fall market, because if the numbers stay as they are, it's going to be atrocious. And I mean, where our average price is for August is just, it's frankly shocking, like 23% versus last year. That's a massive, massive drop. So we're going to be watching September closely. I suspect we're not going to be in for like a super good market at all for the remainder of the year. I do think that we're going to continue to see inventory coming on in September and October, and hopefully things will, you know, move at an okay pace. I think we're going to see prices continue to come down. I think the same thing will happen last year, where in like mid-November to the end of December, we see a mass exodus, and that helps to bring our inventory back down to a normal level, and we can sort of reset at the start of the year. But there's no real, like, you know, there's no real trend that we have been watching the last few years. It's been all over the map. So I will be back next week to see what happens. Hopefully a better week for the first week of September. Have a great week, everyone.